Hey everyone, we're just getting all set up here. Just give us one moment. All right, I believe we're live. All right. Okay. All right, welcome to day one of the People's Film Festival. I'm festival director Dustin Curtis Murphy. We have 50 short films streaming at kinoshortfilm.com/the People's Film Festival. And you can access all of them from now until March 12th for pay what you can afford. You can also vote for your favorite filmmaker to win our £1,000 film fund that'll go directly to funding their next project. And tonight, we are chatting with 4 female filmmakers who have official selections in the festival. I'll introduce them as I bring them into this discussion. So first up, we have Gillian Harker, who's the writer, director, and actress in Cross.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Hey Gillian, how you doing?
I'm good. It's Gillian.
Gillian.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I get it all the time. I get it all the time. Like people think it's my name's Jill a lot of the time. People think it's Jill. I'm like, I have to. It's okay.
All right. First guest of the festival, and I'm already screwing up. All right, this is good. All right, next we have Ailish Symons, co-director, producer, and actress in The Widow.
Hi, how's it going? Well done.
Good.
Got that perfectly.
I got your name right.
Yes, you did indeed.
I feel bad now.
Well, usually my name creates a lot of confusion, so well done.
All right, nice. I think it's because we've been in a discussion before with a
Yes.
UK Tweet Fest, so I had the heads up there.
Good thinking.
Next, we have Michelle Coverley, screenwriter, producer, and actress in The Wick.
Hello.
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Got my hot water bottle, so I'm all warm now, so it's good.
Good. And finally, we have Grace Parry, writer, director, producer, and actress in Outsiders.
Hello.
Hey, Grace. How you doing?
Good. Good to see everyone.
Good to see everyone. Welcome to day one of the festival. Before we start chatting about your films, let's start by giving the audience just a little bit of context about yourselves, the elevator pitch of who you are and your background in film. Why don't we start with Gillian?
Hi, my name's Gillian Harker. I started off as an actor, which I think actually all of us are actors and writers and directors as well. Kind of got bored with the sort of roles that I was being offered and not being offered. So I decided to just kind of take the horse by the reins and try and, make my own stuff. So just wrapped on a shoot at the weekend. So hopefully that's going to go well.
Nice. And Ailish?
Yeah, hi. I'm originally from Cork in Ireland, and I guess that my background is mostly in theatre. I've done some TV and film as well, but I suppose like yourself, Gillian, I decided to kind of break out of the acting box when I was taken out of my comfort zone. I moved to Canada for 2 years, kind of a long story, but I started writing then. And at the time, they were just short stories to remember my grandparents' past. And then when I moved back here, a couple of director friends were like, look, you should make something of this, turn this into screenplay or, do something with it, which is exactly what I did then with The Widow. And since then, I'm so glad I did, because it gave me the confidence to just continue writing and producing some more short films, which have gone on to do quite well. So yeah, all good.
Great. Michelle?
Yeah, my name is Michelle, and similar to Gillian. I'm an actor with circus background actually, but it was really hard for me to get into really kind of like decent stuff because it's just so many actors and just not really the right roles that I would like to really engage with. So I decided to write my own showreel scene at the end of the day, and then I turned it into a short. And then it just grew and grew and grew into this monster. So yeah, and now I've kind of got the bug. So I'm writing my next short film that I'd actually like to direct this time. So yeah,
Wonderful.
nervous. Yeah.
Nice. And finally, Grace.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm an actress. Kind of done that all along, and then I teamed up with a few director friends initially and started just producing and acting, just as a way to, again, play the roles I wanted to play and just be creative and just explore that kind of realm. And then, yeah, Outsiders, it wasn't really planned. I didn't plan to make a film. It was just kind of had an epiphany moment of realizing how much I felt so powerless in the industry and how much of my power I was giving away. And so starting to question, God, what does this mean? What does it mean to be in your power, sovereignty, all of that? And then just started writing it. So it came out of really a moment of it came organically. And yeah, that's how the film was made.
Great. So first off, fantastic work from every single one of you. We're very happy to have your films at the festival. So thank you so much for submitting, and congratulations on making it this far. So it's interesting that all of you guys are actresses and come from an acting background as well. I was going to get into that a little bit later, but it seems like a good place to start off. I was doing just a bit of research on all of your projects today, and there was something in particular in Grace's director statement that I just wanted to read out that I thought kind of touches base on everything you guys were just talking about. And it says, Outsiders follows the life of an actress desperate to find her place in the world. It carries the message that beneath everything, we all just want to be seen. A year ago, I decided enough was enough, and I couldn't live as if I was waiting for the cavalry to come and save me any longer. As an actor, you are fed the story that someday someone will see your potential and you'll suddenly be snapped up, which can leave you with this overwhelming feeling of desperation and helplessness. You feel caught up in the waiting game, relying on other people to hopefully see this passion and longing in you. That's what led me to write Outsiders. It's something that resonated with me, and I think it probably resonates with everybody on this call right now. I actually started out as a child actor as well, and I think one of the main reasons that I kind of pushed acting to the side and decided to just write and direct and produce my own work was because I was more in control of it. And it sounds like all of you guys are essentially doing the same thing, taking control of your own futures and your own destinies. So why don't we talk about that for a little bit, and any big epiphanies along the way of creating your own work. We'll go in the same order, starting with Gillian. Gillian.
Yeah, I read a lot of what you said in your statement, Grace, that Dustin just read out resonated so much with me. I actually had a meeting yesterday with an actor that I know that's thinking about writing and directing his own short film with him in it. So he's reached out to me for some advice, and said yesterday on the call, and it actually hadn't really clicked before, but I said Making Cross, while it's not a perfect film, I've learned a lot since then, but Making Cross completely changed my life. And I know that sounds very hyperbolic in a way, but it kind of did, because it gave me direction and momentum, which I didn't have for such a long time in this industry. I think it's a really cruel industry, particularly to women, and actually working class women as well. I think there's very few roles out there, and there's very few opportunities. So I just had to seize whatever I could with both hands. And luckily I had so many amazing collaborators around me to kind of help me. And I remember even saying to my friend yesterday, making my first film was simultaneously the hardest thing I've ever done and the easiest thing I've ever done, because you've got so much support around you.
Interesting.
Before I made it, I thought there was this huge mountain that I had to climb by myself. And I was I kept telling myself, I'm not the sort of person that makes a film. You have to be X, Y, and Z to make a film. But actually, once you start, as cheesy as it sounds, once you make the first step, you have someone along with you to help you out. And then it becomes so much easier. So yeah, I think I completely, and we're probably, like we said, we're all actresses that have probably got quite tired with what was either being offered or being tired of the rejection, trying to get the roles that we wanted. So we've had to try and make our own stuff. And I know for me, it's just made so much sense. And the past couple of years, I've just been so happy and feel like I'm going in the right direction. It's just been really, really exciting, actually. So I hope it continues.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Ailish, thoughts?
Yeah, well done, Grace. That statement was brilliantly, summed up. I suppose for years, it's not that you're at the bottom of the pecking order, but you're constantly at someone else's mercy. So the director might love you, but the producer wants a better name, or the writer is really interested in you for this part, but they've gone with this director who has a friend who, so it's not necessarily about talent. Sometimes it's about, I don't know, a look or who you're friends with or whatever. And so that didn't, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. And I think as I entered my 30s, I just wanted to take some of the power back. And I had, these ideas from these short stories that I had written. And it's funny because I don't think I would have ever, put it into a screenplay and therefore made it into a film had I not a good support network around me. I suppose same as you, Gillian, a few friends read it and they really encouraged me. And there's no way I'd have been able to make The Widow if I hadn't had the amazing team around me. And I was lucky enough to have made some very good contacts in the industry over the years that I could then knock on their door and be like, hey, I have no money, but I've got this really good script. Do you fancy coming on board? And, I had amazing people, amazing crew. And the cinematographer was just a genius. Like, she just brought my whole story to life. And I don't know what I'm saying here, but just, I suppose, it felt good to take some of that power back and then run with it,
I love The Widow.
Absolutely.
I watched all of your films beforehand, and production design on The Widow was. You said you had no money, but to me it looked amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Charity shops.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a good filmmaker hack for you. Charity shops galore.
Oh, thank you.
Michelle,
I'm
do you have
really
any
looking forward to
thoughts?
seeing all of your films, by the way.
Thanks. Basically touching on the same kind of thing and about taking the power back, because as an actor you definitely feel like you don't have any control, because you don't. I mean, you do your job and then that's it, and you don't even know if you're going to make the cut or how it's going to look or anything. So I really also I've been in a lot of like indie projects, short films, features and things, but like, and some of them are not that great. Some of them are really great, and it's still really frustrating how they don't really seem to go anywhere. And it's like, so I really wanted a project to really go around the film festival circuit, like pumping, and then also to pick up nominations and awards and stuff for all the other people that actually came on board to make the project too, because it's not, as Alicia was saying, it's not just about you. I mean, I wrote the Wick originally for a showreel scene, and then I made it into a short. But it was it started off as about showcasing myself, but then even during the script, I then started giving away my lines to other characters and stuff, because it was then about the project,
Right.
And I just really wanted to push, everyone together to make it worthwhile for everyone, really. So that's basically what I really wanted to do with it. So yeah. Nice.
Well, fantastic work with it.
Nice.
And Grace, we've already read your statement out. What would you like to add to it? What would you like to say?
I guess one of the main things that making this film made me realize was the power of story. I mean, we know this anyway, we're filmmakers, like we all, but meaning the stories that we tell ourselves, meaning, I can't direct, I can't do this, or, I mean, it started with the story of, I'm an actress and I have to wait for that. It was becoming aware of all these stories that I had in my head. And then it was, as soon as then I decided to write the project, and then I was thinking of, should I direct it? I then had in my head, I can't direct act and produce it. That's ridiculous. And so it became then just figuring what's the truth here, what, you know, I can do. And it was just following, I think if you've got this, it's finding the essence of it, finding the truth of it. And once you've got that, you can just, you really know, like you just have to trust that and hold on to it, even if it feels scary, if you're in the unknown, if you're pushing your comfort zone. If you've got that something to hold on to, then that's really your strength. And I sort of held on to that when I was then similar to Ailish. Sorry.
Ailish. That's all right.
Sorry. Trying to read. Yeah, I was so fortunate to have gathered some really lovely friends in the industry over the years, and so I went to them with the film, but because I had such a strong reason for making it and had that kind of root, people can feel that, and so they want to be a part of that. So I think, yeah, that's what I would add.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've now, I mean, I can tell that you're all started out more in the acting world, and then you've really taken the turn into the production world. So now that you've worn the production hat, how has it affected how you approach acting and casting? Because, you know, for me, what I can say is I've sat in auditions before where I've been the key decision maker. And it sucks sometimes that the best actor in front of you isn't the person who gets the gig, because I tend to think the best actor is the most versatile actor, the person who has the most range. But sometimes the role doesn't need that range, and somebody walks into the room who just is the part, even though they probably wouldn't be that good at playing very many other parts. Have you found yourselves in similar situations? Yeah, how is being on the other side behind the scenes affected how you approach acting?
I think, yeah, for me, sorry, like abandoning the
go for it. We'll go casual.
I think basically for me, you know, as an actor before making the Wick, you know, you do get a bit paranoid thinking, you know, why didn't I get that? Like, was it because of this or was it because of that? But actually it really isn't like what you were saying, Dustin. It's literally about that actor fits that role. It's about a look, or it's about something. It's something like what they've got. And so now I really don't get too many problems with blowbacks at all. Like
it's probably good not to take it so personal now, right? Yeah,
definitely. So it really kind of goes over my head now. And, you know, even when I get asked to do a self-tape and stuff like that, I just really take it as like just practice, and then I forget about it and it goes over my head. And also, you know, when I was the producer on it, on the Wick, I was just inundated with all these emails of all the crew and cast and you know, like locations and stuff, and it was kind of overwhelming and nightmare. like in the last week for sure. Like, you know, the weekend, the Friday before the weekend, before the Monday that we were going to shoot, like really like had a meltdown. Like, you know. But I realized also that, like, you know, as an actor, when you're in a production and you're trying to contact the producer or something like that, and if they don't get back to you straight away, I'm kind of easygoing with it now as well, because like the producer really literally does not have any time at all.
Yeah.
So so it's kind of made me chill out a bit more about the whole kind of acting thing, to be honest. So
fantastic. Anybody else have comments to say on that one?
I think sorry.
No, go.
The word desperation came to mind when you were talking, Dustin. I think the desperation is gone. You know, like the hunger. You know, sometimes I would walk into a room and I'd be so nervous and probably mess it all up because of the nerves, and then walk out thinking, "Oh my God, you know, what did I just do? I sabotaged it." And you know, you're thinking about it for days and stuff, and you're hoping that they'll like you, or maybe they'll give you a call back. Like, all of those thoughts are just gone now, because I have a new appreciation for the whole industry now, not just am I good enough? Like, did I get the part? Like, now it's just about the whole production and how does the whole piece of art, I suppose, piece of work look together, and do all the pieces fit together? And you know, if they don't, then that's okay. Maybe that piece isn't right. Maybe you need to bring in another piece. And so I think yeah, a huge appreciation for everyone else in the production. And I guess, as you say, Michelle, like for the producer as well, I was in a similar position producing The Widow as well. And it just goes mad, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, you say one meltdown. I lost count the amount of times I started crying over, nothing now looking back on it. But you do, because you're throwing your whole heart and soul into your project. It does, get very overwhelming. So now an audition, putting something on tape, it's like, yeah, great, I'll do it. If they like me, wonderful. If they don't, that's okay,
Yeah, that's good. It's very healthy to finally get to that point.
I think just one other thing, sorry, like also being on set when you're an actor now too, because like everything that goes on, I mean, you start to anyway when you're an actor, when you have more experience, but when you have experienced it behind the scene too, like when, the director shouts cut, like retake, set and everything like that, to go again, you're kind of less paranoid as an actor now that maybe it wasn't you making a mistake or anything. It was like maybe the lighting wasn't quite right or something else, or, or you just weren't getting what they wanted for the cut, like, for the edit. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think for me, it made me a more disciplined actor as well, actually, because I think beforehand, when I was doing stuff when it wasn't my own project, I would learn the lines and, dig deep into the character. But going on what you two are both saying, once you're making those films, you kind of, know more about what goes on behind the scenes. Whereas when you're just acting, you kind of have some idea of what's going on. But I think, making my own stuff has just made me a more disciplined actor. I've just known, especially when I'm directing myself, I kind of just know what to save for what shot, because I'm thinking of the edit later on. But I hope that I can take what I'm learning onto future projects if I decide to work with other directors. But yeah, it's made me more disciplined. But I completely get what you're saying, Ailish, about the desperation just goes. I feel like I deserve to sit at the table, whereas for so long, like the metaphorical table, but for so long I just kept thinking, they're going to know that I'm a fraud, and I think your own thing.
I mean, you still think that, don't you, really? I mean, I don't think that ever goes away. Every now and again, it kind of creeps into your head,
Yeah, definitely. There's always the imposter syndrome that I'm never going to get rid of, but I definitely feel that I am less of an imposter these days than maybe I was like 3 years ago, or at least that feeling of that. But it's the discipline for me in terms of acting, but I do get what you're saying as well. Like, you do see different qualities in other actors that you're considering different things that when you were just acting, you didn't realize were even a consideration. Use the same word twice. Considering different considerations.
Nice. Grace?
I mean, I think it's so helpful to, the more you know about what everyone does, the better. And like, it just heightens your craft, because you just, even unconsciously, what you pick up from, understanding how to write, what it means to write and what words mean. And like when you're acting, then how you approach, and you don't even think about it. It's not like I'm consciously thinking, this is different now, but you just absorb all that information. And I think it's great. I also recognize that a lot of directors that have had experience previously acting or have taken part in acting workshops, they have another layer that makes it special. So I think the more that you can get involved in everything, the better. And also interesting when you were saying about how with acting, it's not just about you. It can be so many elements. And I just did a self-tape course, Manuel Puro's one. It's brilliant. I definitely recommend to any actors, just to keep the game up. And you're given a little text, and there's maybe like 20 actors, and you just do your thing, and then you send it. You watch each other's tapes, but everyone did it so differently. Like, you do it your way and you think, there'll be other people doing it the same as me. Everyone was so different, and it makes you realize we're just doing, we're each just offering up what we have to offer, and you just realize that it's just like everyone was good. It's just like whatever. So a director's just going to look and be like, that's exactly how I saw it, or I liked that. It's just completely out of your hands. So yeah, totally the pressure's off. I've completely lost that whole like, oh, it's all me. Like, no, I don't really have that at all anymore.
I remember being in, oh, sorry.
Go for it, please.
Oh, just I was helping with auditioning for a TV series a little while ago, and just being on the other side of the camera, it really does kind of, open your eyes to what the director feels, how the producer feels, and how many producers need to be kept happy. And, you know, I had my own opinions, but I was just being the reader, you know, on the other side of the camera for the actors. And an actor would be amazing, he'd leave, I would think, wow, he's got it, like, to myself. And then to hear the discussion, like, was so different to what I thought. And then sometimes I'd agree, or, you know, so sometimes it's just about personal opinion. And I think, you know, I hadn't really thought about that 10 years ago, whereas now it's just like, look, you know, making a film, not everyone is going to love a film. You know, some people won't like it, some people will love it. That's just kind of the name of the game, isn't it? So
yeah,
basically just be happy with it yourself, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when it comes to performance, you guys all not only just took on a director role, but you took on a director role and a performance role at the same time in all of your productions. So how did you guys find kind of balancing all those jobs? I know some of you had co-directors that you were working with, some of it did it on your own, some of you took the leading role, some of you took the supporting role. How did you do it all at the same time and still come out with, you know, obviously such a great standard of work?
I think what I'd say is that having a really, I kind of knew that if I had a crew that I trusted 1000%, and I knew that I wouldn't even have to worry about what they'd be doing, you know, there was kind of that level that I needed. And so I fortunately found a crew that, you know, not only did I get on with them well, but they were each just at the top of their game. Like, I just loved them all. And so it just meant that, especially having a DP cinematographer that we'd met loads of times before, we made sure that we just really nailed what the message of it was. And I just trusted him so much that all we did really was we kind of, you know, went through everything beforehand, and then we just played. Like, the whole film turned out completely different to what we'd said we did, because we were so solid in what the message was that we were just free to play. And so that was a surprise to me, actually, the amount of that I felt able to play. And so it was just this weird communication we had going on, where he would just show me the shot just to establish if I liked the initial shot, and then we just go for it. But yeah, it was really, I really enjoyed, actually, the I mean, who knows if it would happen again, maybe I was just lucky, but I really was happy that I felt comfortable to play and not stick to what I had written in my script. But yeah, so having a crew that you trust is so important.
And did you get performance feedback from them as well? Or did you just rewatch the takes in order to make sure it was what you wanted?
I never watched anything back. I kind of went off, I think, as an actor, I mean, I've trained so that I can kind of feel, it's all about feeling with acting, and I think I can feel if I've hit a moment, if I've not, and so I kind of would try and go off that. But then also the DP, he's more technical, he's not necessarily into sort of performance, but he would always, he'd see the overall feel of it, and so he would just say, yeah, I think we got that. We tend to be quite in sync. So it was just the whole process for me was very guttural. It was a very, like, just instinctive process, knowing what felt right. And that was really interesting for me, for the whole thing to be very much, you know, yep, that felt right, or no, that something felt off. So it was really interesting to sort of tackle it from that element rather than very technical. I think I'm definitely more instinctual sort of person. Same with directing. That was a story I had. I can't direct. I'd never had any directing training. I was like, I don't know how to do a storyboard, but I approached it from my way of being quite instinctual, and that's what worked in the end. So yeah, you just bring your flair to it, I think, and anyone can.
It was a great performance. Grace.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very good.
We all kind of recognise that kind of director in your film. I think we all kind of know, like that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. He was brilliant. Again, to be honest, I didn't really have to direct him because he was just fantastic. That was the other thing, finding a director, an actor that can just act.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have to direct him at all.
It was great because it was so nuanced of a performance as well,
Yeah.
rather than that easily could have gone
Exactly
over the top, to bad guy. But it's like, oh no, there's a lot of layers there that you don't even have time to explore in a short film. But
yeah,
it's just
and to be
so
honest,
much weight and context.
Even when we had one rehearsal beforehand, and I knew that I needed him like nuanced and not like, I'm evil or anything like that. And there wasn't really much of it. As like he was kind of like asking questions. I was like, I don't just go for it. Like, I think you've got it. Like, let's not overanalyze it. Just trust in how you see it.
I was quite lucky. I had a co-director, so I could kind of just immerse myself into the part for the 4 days of filming whilst Nicola directed. And yeah, as you say, Grace, a lot of it was trusting the rest of the crew and the rest of the cast. So the adult cast, they, oh my God, had so many years of experience, both on screen and in theatre. And I knew I could trust them to just bring it. And they were amazing. Like, they were just so amazing. And it just felt right then. So in a way, sometimes all we needed were positions or, where to go for that. And, it felt a little technical. And then once we got rolling, it just felt so nice. And then my children were themselves. So they're not my children, but the children I had on set, they had to be kind of improvised scenes because, they're kids, and that was a lot of fun. It brought its own challenges as well. But yeah, so I think, it was a mixture of trusting the cast and the crew. And then I took on more of the directorial role when it came to the editing in post.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we found a balance somewhere.
Fantastic.
I think for me,
Michelle.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say either Michelle or Gillian.
Okay. Well, because it was the first thing I'd ever written or directed, I was like, well, I don't want to do the lead in case I just mess everything up. So I wrote the lead to be the character of Tom, and then this actor Ryan Hayes came on board, and I've known him a while. We'd worked together before.
He's got some pretty big credits as well, I was seeing in his bio, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's over in Prague at the moment, filming series 2 of Carnival Row with Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom. He's done some amazing things, and short a couple of years ago, and we worked well together then. And I love improvising. I love sort of that way of developing. In fact, the first draft of the script I wrote was just terrible. And
I think all first drafts are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And I've got used to that now, actually. I was so scared of sending anything out to begin with. I was like, oh God, this is awful. But yeah, it was terrible, and I'm proud that it's terrible because we were able to like work on it, and we did a lot of improvisation with the producer as well. So he came down, and I think that's what helped with my performance. I trusted the actor that I was working with. I had good natural chemistry. I really trusted the producer because he's a filmmaker himself. He's a director, and he's directed me before. So I think it was just a nice collaboration, actually. And I've just wrapped on my 4th short film. So I've got 2 in post at the moment. And with each film, I just find myself getting more and more confident, knowing that like what you were saying, it's an instinctive thing. I think if you've hit a moment, but then you've got the people around you, you trust their opinion as well. So it helped me on Crust to have the lead to be somebody else, so that I couldn't destroy the whole thing just with like a bad performance. And he's great. Like, Ryan Hayes is a really strong actor. He's very
did a great job.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle.
Well, I didn't direct this. I had one of my friends, Sabine Crossan, direct it, and so I wrote it, I produced it, and I was the lead. So I really didn't want to kind of take on board another role because, I mean, I found it quite overwhelming anyway. Like, you know,
you already had 3 hats, so I didn't need a 4th.
Yeah, but I mean, we both worked really closely together in post because, I mean, she knew it was my baby and stuff. I also had another producer step in for me when we were shooting on set. So then I didn't have to think too much about that, even though I was still kind of like active in that in my head, but I was able to really kind of, concentrate on the lead character, because at the end of the day, if you're the lead and it goes to shit, then the whole film goes to shit. So I didn't want to take that risk as well, because of then everyone else's work, wouldn't have been justified. So but my next short film I really want to direct, and I really wanted to maybe like get another lead actor on board, but I'm kind of really tempted to act it as well. You know what I mean? I want to act as well, so I'm still toying with the idea.
Go for it.
So your guys' like tips and advice has been great, and that even like not directing it, just producing it, writing it, and then the lead, just to be able to get the crew, as you were all saying, that you really trust, because then I didn't have to really worry about anything else apart from the acting, so yeah, that's definitely the best.
Yeah, I think the trust thing is really important, because especially on Cross, I didn't know anything. I didn't know, especially when we were looking at lighting, when they're like, oh, we're going to get some Aladdins and some this and some that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what. You need to trust the people around you that they're not going to sort of laugh at you or kind of say like, oh, this is not that well, she doesn't know what she's doing. So I still don't know half the stuff that goes on. I don't know half the technical stuff, but you've got the right team around you. They know what they're doing, and they're there to support you and not to kind of ridicule you because you don't know what an XYZ is. So, but that was what I was carrying on my shoulders to begin with. Again, it's the imposter syndrome on my first film, being like, oh, I'm such a fraud. They're gonna find out that I don't know what I'm doing, and they did find out that a lot of the time I didn't know what I was doing, but they were there to help me and show me what I was doing. And so I think trust is massive, especially when you're making your first film.
Yeah, absolutely. In a lot of the teaching that I do as well, I definitely consider myself a actor's director, and anybody who has, I think, an acting background, I think is just naturally more inclined to be a better director. That's my opinion, because I see a lot of people who are overly technical have too strong a vision. And I think working with actors, one of the best things is seeing what they bring to the table and letting yourself be challenged by that, being like, oh, I didn't see that in these words on the page, but maybe this is actually better than my vision. And I think one of my favorite quotes from Paul Schrader is, a screenplay isn't a work of art, it's an invitation to collaborate.
That's awesome.
Very true.
Love that.
It's been one of my absolute mantras.
Yeah, I've always said this: film has to be collaboration. Even the Kubricks of the world secretly were collaborators. Like they were definitely not steering the ship, but they, you can't make anything amazing without having input from, like, the last thing I shot at the weekend. We only had 7 people on set because of COVID, but everybody made good suggestions, and everybody had a say in what was going to happen on that day.
Big time. It's like a machine, isn't it? You can be in charge of one cog, and you need the other person to be on the other side, or else the whole machine will fall off. You need a team. It's paramount. Yeah.
And you want, from the script, like talking about just like when you write the script, you want everyone to enhance that. You want it to be even better than what you've done. Like,
right.
And I just wanted, the project to be really amazing. Like, so getting on board people who you trust, and also who work the same way as you as well, and also share like a similar idea, a similar vision to you, but then to enhance everything.
Right. You got to make sure everyone's pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
But there's room for detours, and detours are interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears here a little bit to go away from some more of the technical filmmaking process. And, this is a female filmmaker Q&A. So I thought, let's have a little bit of a conversation about gender, right? So I wanted to start with Cross, because it's a non-traditional portrait of masculinity. And it's obviously told through a female lens from a female filmmaker. And I think out of the 4 films, it's the one that's a little bit more of a departure, having a male lead, whereas the other films have a female lead. So I was very interested in your director's statement, Gillian. I want to read a little bit of that as well. It says, in recent years, much discussion and debate has arisen on gender identity, gender politics, and the concept of toxic masculinity. Although fortunately the prevailing attitudes are progressive and liberal in nature, there is still an insidious ignorance and overt prejudice regarding people's choice when they do not conform to the traditional social norm, particularly for men emotionally. Male suicide is still the single biggest killer of men under 45. And part of the problem is a fear of communicating and appearing vulnerable. Cross is a film about identity, fear, secrecy, shame, isolation, acceptance, and connection. Above anything else, however, it is about love. A film that asks what it means to be a modern man and woman.
Wow.
So, fantastic director's statement, first off.
Oh, cool.
What really made you interested in this subject matter of looking at kind of a different side of toxic masculinity and a little bit more, I think, loving side, understanding side, and accepting side of, people who are struggling with coming to terms with a different expression of their gender?
It's quite a complicated question.
Sorry, getting deep here. I'm getting deep here.
I always feel like I don't really have like a decent answer for this. I think growing up, I used to play rugby league, and I was quote unquote tomboy, which I think is a bit of a weird word these days, but I just liked sport and I just liked playing rugby and football. And I remember getting to 12 or 13 and there were no girls teams down south, so I had to dress up as a boy to play rugby. So I had to pretend to be a boy on the rugby pitch. And so I think from quite an early age, I was very comfortable being a girl. But it was just on Saturday mornings, I had to put my scrum hat on and pretend to be a boy. So I think from quite an early age, I kind of had these notions of what did it mean to be a girl? What did it mean to be a boy? Why wasn't I allowed to play with the boys playing rugby? I was the same size as them at that point. It's only when you get older that you're aware of why boys and girls can't play together after 13. So I think that was kind of, in my first feature is going to be about that, actually. I'm developing a feature kind of based on that. But early on, I was very aware of gender, and I never quite fitted in with other girls in my school. And I don't know, I just found it very weird. I was like, I don't know. And I think when it came to making my first film, I never set out to make a film about gender, to be honest. It started off, I knew it was more about the parameters of what I had. I knew that my budget meant I didn't have one location. I only wanted 2 actors. I knew I wanted to be one of them. So it started with actually just more kind of, less cerebral and more just like, what can I work with? And then when I thought I wanted to write a story about a couple, I was thinking, what is it that interests me? And then I think there is so much discussion at the moment about gender and gender identity and gender politics. And it's something that I wanted to explore. And I had seen a few documentaries about men that had mental health with males, and and how I don't know, I don't want to speak on behalf of men, but especially with my male friends, I've got a lot of male friends, and they find it easier to talk to, but they say they find it easier to talk to me or some of their girl mates, because we're naturally more articulate maybe with our feelings, and they haven't had those opportunities with some of their guy mates maybe. I don't know, I'm not really answering the question very well, I don't think.
No, I think it's interesting, and I think what you're saying that makes a lot of sense. I think particularly what's interesting is kind of the lack of agenda that you brought to the project. It seems I think that's probably the strength of it. It just kind of developed naturally rather than saying like, oh, I'm making a film on gender, right? You really just kind of were making an honest film, and that's probably why it elevates it and resonates.
Yeah, and I think part of the character Kelly's thing is that it unsettles her to begin with, actually, when she finds out what Tom's doing. And I think that was quite, because I had to think, once I decided that's what my story was going to be, I had to think, what would my reaction be if there was someone that I had been with for a while and thought I knew them, but actually they had this whole secret life. And, it was quite hard to admit that I wouldn't know how I would react to that. I like to think that I'm a tolerant, accepting person, but I am. But in those moments, but when you've been with somebody that's held this secret, it's not necessarily that, in Tom's case, that he was, wanting to like wear women's clothes. It was more that I think in the end, Kelly is just upset and confronted by the fact that he felt that he couldn't open up to her. So I think that's more where her pain comes from. But it took like self-analysis as well, where I was thinking, how would I react in that moment? And but I think it's a tricky subject still as well. I think, but things are changing. I think things are changing for the better. I mean, let people wear what they want. Let people, use whatever pronoun they want to use. Like,
yeah, well, it's definitely, taking a forefront in culture, and the conversation is ongoing, and it's very interesting. So, I think your film was great in contributing to that conversation. I will move on to the other films now. I think with The Widow, The Wick, and Outsiders, there's a little bit more of a gender theme throughout it. With The Widow, Ailish, I know you had a mostly female crew with some collaborators that were, pretty substantial credits. Killing Eve and Les Mis, I saw, was in there as well, I think, from your DOP. So how important was gender to you in hiring your crew?
I think that evolved a little bit later on. When I was writing it, I wanted it to be female-led. Obviously, I wanted so the story is inspired by my grandmother, basically, and she was widowed when she was pregnant with my dad, her third child. And so from the beginning, I knew that I wanted to play Peggy is her real name, but I changed all the names and stuff because it's not based upon, it then took on a kind of a life of its own. But I think because for me, the woman who I was portraying was so close to my own heart, it just became a female story that then became a female dominant production naturally. So like I'd kind of reach out to a few of my friends, but the few ads that I put online, looking for a certain position, I gravitated always towards the female applicants. And it wasn't a conscious decision at the beginning, like I'm only going to employ women on my set. I wanted the best people, but actually looking at people's CVs and credits, it made me go, wow, these women are amazing. Why haven't they done more? Why aren't they bloody well getting Oscar nominations? So it was a no-brainer when I saw what these women were capable of doing. That then just kind of snowballed into it being more of a female-led production,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of.
Yeah, and it's absolutely, fantastic on so many levels. I think it's one of our highest nominated films in
thank you so
the
much.
festival. So that just shows all the different areas where people, excelled so much in their individual roles.
Yeah. Thank you.
similarly, you know, there's kind of these you know, hashtag Me Too trends through all of them in different eras. You have The Widow, which is the 1950s. Then you have Outsiders, which is modern, and then The Wick, which goes back to the 1800s. So with The Wick, are we cool with talking about like spoilers and everything?
It depends on what spoiler it is.
The powerful statistics at the end of the film.
Oh yes.
I wanted to ask about that.
Well, basically, you know, which accusations are still going on now, and you know, when people watch the end credits, they realize how bad it is now still.
And I think what was shocking is where it is bad, not just, you know.
Where?
It's not just like Africa or India. It's everywhere. It's in Europe. It's in America. It's in Australia. You know.
What was the British one? Because you said that the British one was like 2015 or something. Can you remember what the
2013.
Oh
This
my
is the thing. These are the witch accusations ending in death. But actually, and they're the ones I could find on the internet. But there are so many others that are not ending in death, but still, you know, like massive abuse and stuff like that. So, you know, there's some this year, there's some the previous year. It's not, you know, back in 2013 for the UK. In UK, actually, I mean, all around the world, it is heavily, you know, women, some men as well, but a big portion of that is children as well. And so in the UK, you know, we have got a bad thing with abuse in children about witch accusations. So maybe not potentially ending in death, but yeah. So it's pretty rife, and it's but the thing is, like, when I was actually doing research on my script and then I found all this information, I was actually connecting quite a lot to pagan communities. And even they didn't actually realize that it was still going on now. Like, you know, I mean, some, you know, women in Papua New Guinea are still getting burnt alive because they were accused of being a witch.
And I think what's so interesting about your film too is, you know, I mean, where the evil lies, right? It's around these accusations, you know, time and time again, you see there is a clear bad guy, but it's usually, it's not where the finger is pointing, it's where the other ones are pointing back, and just how sinister the people making these accusations can be. Yeah. And how insane that can be at times. Yeah.
So I really wanted to, like, when I was writing this, it was around like 2016, and a lot of like ISIS was going on, you know, and, you know, I was really quite shocked about all that kind of thing. I was terrified, actually, you know, and, you know, so I really wanted to incorporate that layer into the Wick as well, you know, with radicalization and how easy it is, like, you know, with like in the West with media, but even with in the West with the media radicalizing and grooming people to go over to Syria to fight, you know, and so the crowd aspect, you know, with, you know, the main guy, the clergyman, and, you know, and someone else as well, kind of really bubbling these rumors, you know, but also it's misinformation as well, because, I mean, you know, one of the characters, he's convinced that the lead character is a witch because of what he saw in the what he saw in the forest, but you know the character maybe wasn't actually doing what he was thinking. So I really wanted to have the audience to really think about, you know, are they right type thing, you know, you know, and then with the twists and turns, it it takes and stuff too. So yeah, that was really important. And also as well, you know, with these radicalized people, like my character Esther, the herbal healer, which who knows, and the clergyman, you know, at the end of the day, they both want to do what's right. What they want to protect people, you know. So, you know, with these radicalized people, you know, what they believe that they're doing is correct, you know. So I didn't want him to be a stereotypical bad guy. You know, if you really see it, you know, you'll see that he's not, and he really just believes that he's protecting the village. And you know, if he has to do some kind of corruption in the meantime, that's what he believes he needs to do. So yeah, so I didn't want to point the blame on people, even though, you know, you kind of find out type thing. But that's, yeah, I didn't want to go in the stereotypical way. So
that was a very, very impactful direction that you took with it. So
cool.
Good work there. And now to Outsiders. So this is a little bit more, you know, what people are used to hearing, stereotypical, you know, actress and director situation. However, you took it so nuanced, so subtle, and so probably real, more real and more accurate than anybody who would have gone over top with it. So yeah, I guess I don't really have a specific question. I just want to talk about that influence upon it. I mean, like, how did you get so nuanced and so real rather than making this director a bad guy?
Well, it was kind of based on my own experience. I've had experiences like that. And these experiences happened around the Me Too movement, when I was starting to think, I had never had really anything particularly happen. But at the time when all these things were happening and I was going into some meetings, I almost felt more confident, because I was like, there's so much out there about it that there's really nothing to worry about anymore, because I'm safe now, because, you know.
You have to be an idiot to try something.
Yeah, exactly. And then this experience happened where it was like, oh, something's, well, it took a while, but I kind of knew something wasn't quite right. And then afterwards, I was just, yeah, it hit me, and I was blown away by the subtlety of what it means to, like the Me Too. I felt like there was space for this discussion of the more nuanced level of emotional abuse. And when it's very, you know, a director doesn't have to say, come into my room and sleep with me. He can just use his powers. I mean, as a director, your whole, you know, when their whole magic is that they know how to get things out of you, you know, that if you've got that connection, they can really play. They have the power to play all these mind games. And in a way that, you know, they use that's to their, you know, credit when you're filming with them. It's like amazing when they can just get this stuff out of you. But to have someone do that to me when it's outside of that safe setting, it's a really bizarre, it was like, whoa, this, you know, I kind of didn't consent to that, but then also I noticed my own desperation was feeding into it. And it was kind of, there wasn't such a thing of like, I'm good, he's bad. It was just a really interesting dance. And I just wanted to really get to grips with what that was and what was my role with, how could I stop that happening? It wasn't like, what was my role in it? I didn't do anything. I know I didn't do anything wrong. It was just more, you know, having more awareness next time as to, you know, yeah, where I needed to have more of a boundary, because you're not taught, you know, in drama school or anything, you're not taught, you're going to go have meetings with directors, you're not taught where's the line, like where's a lunch date, and where's, you know, it's just complete, you figure that out as you go along, and it can be a mess sometimes, because you're like, is this a meeting, is this a lunch date, like do we talk professionally, when does professional talk end, and it's how much personal information do I give away? And it's really, you realize that I have a right to say what's my boundary? We're just talking about work, that I don't have to reveal my like everything to you in this meeting, you know, just because you're a director and I feel I should impress you, you know. You can keep it. It's really, yeah, learning you can say no and you can hold your boundary was just mind-blowing to me, and I thought, why did I not know this before? It's just insane. But yeah, it's really fascinating. It was a fascinating topic to dive into and to create a film around. It really was.
Nice. Yeah, well, great work with it.
Thank
So
you.
we've just hit the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to start wrapping things up. Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. What I always try to do is, you know, bring it back to our filmmaker audience. And I'm all about being transparent about my mistakes and my processes as a filmmaker, so other people don't have to make the same mistakes that I did, and they can make their own mistakes and they can tell me what they made, and we'll eventually all get better, right? So what have you learned during the making of this film that you would do differently next time? What mistake would you not repeat?
I mean, there's
How long have you got?
Anybody want to go first?
Me, it's really locking the script 100% before you start to lock the film shoot dates and location, all this kind of thing, because I had to postpone my film twice in 2017, and then in the end shot it in summer 2018 because we were still developing the script. I was with a previous director that was on board at that point, and it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know, we were kind of like pushing for this date because, you know, the director had something else that she was going to do afterwards, all this kind of thing. And it was, you know, so yeah. And then in the end, like 4 weeks before we were going to shoot, we still, you know, really weren't ready. And, you know, the script was just way beyond the budget. So yeah, that is a major thing for me. And then, I tried to do it again, and we just weren't there. And then I stopped it for about 4 months, had to get off it, jump off and take a bit of time away from it. And then I got back on board, and, you know, that's another thing also, 2 things, sorry. So not setting all the dates and stuff before you finish the script. And also less is more with a script. You know, you can cut locations and make it more simplified with just even a visual thing instead of all dialogue and stuff like that as well. So yeah.
Nice.
I think for me, part of it was the way that I paid people on Cross. I have always wanted things to be fair and equal, so I thought the fairest and equal way of doing it would just be to pay everybody the same thing. But I could only really afford to pay people for like the 2 shoot dates that we had. So everyone that came on board agreed to the pay package that I outlined, and it was only afterwards I realised that actually there was a few people that were only on set for the 2 days, but then I had quite a few crew members that did a lot in pre-production or a lot in post-production. So it was only afterwards that I was like, actually, it wasn't as fair as just because the money was the same that they all got, it actually wasn't that fair. But
the effort and the workload would be the same.
Yeah, each of the crew would have to do it at different stages. So I think that's something that I learned. But yeah, so that's. And yeah, I put a bit of production budget in painting one of the sets, which wasn't needed. So little things like that you just learn, you know, for like a 12-second shot, just don't spend like the £150, which is, you know, it's not a crazy amount of money, but, you know, it's time and energy, and it is money wasted for like a 12-second shot. Just things like that, just think like how much is actually going to be seen on screen in the edit, and is it worth spending the money to set decorate.
Yeah, agreed. I think plan your budget and stick to it, no matter how much you want a certain color on the wall, or no matter how much you want a certain location. Just stick to your budget, because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot afterwards. Like I did, you know, I ended up having to pay 2 lots of insurance because we couldn't finish everything in the 3 days of filming because I hadn't planned it to a T, I had maneuvering room, and actually that was a bad idea. I think be very strict on budget planning, and yeah, you'll just have less of a stressful time.
Yeah, I think I'd say, yeah, it doesn't have to be big. I think trust yourself. Like I wasted, I can't remember how long it was, months, because I thought it had to be bigger budget wise. I didn't realize I could make a film on next to nothing with a great crew. I thought I had to have more money, so I wasted so much time trying to get an exec producer on board, trying to do this, trying to do that, because I thought it had to be bigger than it was, and then realized actually just really hone it down to what do I need, and you can keep your budget, and it's easier if you actually have a set budget that's smaller and you know what you're working with. It's actually easier to work with. It feels a lot easier. So yeah, don't just trust yourself, and don't think crazy big. You can do something minimal. You know, you can make something good with not a lot of money, basically.
Nice.
It can happen.
You need money for the film festivals.
And yes, yeah.
Don't forget about that.
Don't forget about what happens after the film.
Yeah. That's a really good point. So expensive at the time as well, aren't they? Like, it can add up.
I mean, sometimes for some of my films, the film festival budget is equal to the production budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's so important to get your film out there then. So you're like, well, what's the point of making it if no one's seeing it? So yeah, I hadn't a penny after post-production. But, you know, month by month, luckily film festivals are rolling, right? So, you know, payday and enter another one here and there. And yeah.
All right. So we have time for just final shout outs. You don't have to participate, but if you are working on a project and you are in need of anything right now, since we're not meeting in person, just shout out a collaborator that you might be in need for and how to get in touch, whether it be an editor, a DOP, anything, or if you're set, that's fine too. Gillian, looking for anything?
I was looking for a VFX artist, but I've just confirmed someone today.
All right.
So I've got someone on board. But at the moment, no, I think I'm okay. But I'm probably going to regret this afterwards, because I'll think something that I need. But no, I think I'm okay at the moment.
Ailish?
I've got one. Yeah, I've just written a pilot for a TV series, and I would love a good script editor, because I still don't think I'm very good at, you know, completing, you know, good scripts. So a script editor would be amazing. And
if a script editor is listening, how should they get in touch?
So my production is Line Bear Films, and that's what it is on Instagram, Line Bear Films, and equally on Facebook, or I'm Ailish Castillo on both mediums as well. Nice. Michelle, looking for anything?
I'm not, but money, basically. So anyone,
hey, everybody.
donators, financiers, anyone that just gifting kind would love to start to donate to my next short film. It's a folk horror film set in the snow. So any money with for that would be amazing, because then I could start to put things in place. So, and they can contact me on my on Instagram. Weird Instagram is Alien Mermaid, and also Facebook, Michelle Coverley, and also michellecoverley.com as my website as well. So yes.
Nice. Grace?
No, not right now. I've just finishing writing a short that I'll be doing next, but yeah, haven't touched on crew yet, so not for now, but no.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining the call, guys. To anybody who's listening, we are only on day one of the People's Film Festival. It is live until next Friday, March 12th. So if you haven't seen any of these wonderful films yet, or you want to go deeper into the other 46 films, then please go on kinoshortfilm.com/the People's Film Festival and watch along. All right. Thanks, guys.
Justin, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely.
Bye,
Enjoyed
guys.
all three of your films. So anyone watching should definitely catch The Wick, Outsiders, and The Widow. They're brilliant.
And Cross.
And Cross. All right. Happy Friday night, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dustin.